Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. How are we doing today, guys? Woo! Oh my gosh. I hope everything is going well with you. Oh. I have got the fatigue in me. I'm, well, if the mic's peaking, that's just too fucking bad. I'm not, that's just too bad. It's going to be how it is. Anyway, I'm no longer concerned with anything like that. So that being said, no, I'm not sleepy tired. I am physically tired because I went for a run today and it's hot. So that's all. But yes, we will still have a Twitch stream tonight. We will have mirth and joy and all of that good stuff. Yeah, well, the mic is probably peaking because my old interface fucking died on a live stream. And I'm using my travel interface, and balancing it out sounds like a shit task when I have everything else to deal with. So I'm not really concerned with the mic peaking right now. The bitrate is going to shit. Can we stabilize here? Like, what the? See how that goes. I have a fix for that if that keeps up. But it's stable right now. But it's not stable. There's always something. Isn't there? There's always something. Like I said, the thing with streaming is that it's not just getting one thing to work. That's using a computer in the normal way. The thing with streaming is it's getting everything to work at the same time. So let me I can fix this. I'll be right back. Okay. Quit your whining. Everything's fine. This should fix it. I tell you. So what I was saying, which you probably couldn't hear because everything was skipping out, was that the thing about streaming is it's not getting one system to work. That's easy. It's getting everything to work at the same time, which is the problem. That's the fun part. So anyway, yes. As you could maybe tell, because things weren't working, I did get, if you just refresh it, it'll get back up to the 1080p. I am using the new graphics card. Everything is installed. It's actually working well, but settings changed inside of Streamlabs when I did it. I noticed that they changed and I was like, probably won't matter. So I just went and fixed them and put them back to where they were supposed to be. And so now they're back and things should be okay. Although my bitrate is a bit slow right now in general, but that is typical lag. That is something separate. that's going on here. I'm having some fun packet spiking. So that's the glory of YouTube. The glory of YouTube. Nothing I can do about that one. I fixed everything on my end, and that's how it goes. My bitrate is remaining relatively stable, but it did just drop a second ago. So who knows? Who knows? I hate everything about everything. That being said, your internet is greater than Nick's internet. You live in the tech support. Of course it is. Of course it is. So, what's my internet speed? A gigabyte down, 40 up, because American internet companies are mentally handicapped. Because American internet companies are mentally handicapped and will not have a high upload rate. I guess we don't want to. We just don't want to have a stable bitrate today. For fuck's sake. Is something happening in the background that I don't know about? Am I uploading the entire Earth? The fuck is this? This isn't the video card. This is the upstream to YouTube. This is different. It's not lowering the bitrate won't help. Look, let me say it again. I appreciate the tech support advice from the chat, but unless you stream every day for a living, please. Lowering the bitrate won't help because it's at a bitrate that's so low that it wouldn't matter. It's just the upstream to YouTube. So, that being said, we'll see how this goes. It's looking like a great day. I love tech issues. They make it so much fun. Is it your IP or YouTube? I have no fucking idea which one it is. I just know that the link between me and YouTube is messed up. Or me and Streamlabs. Maybe it's me and Streamlabs. Who knows? Why would I want to stream to work? Why should anything fucking work? That would be great if things just happened and worked. Anyway, we'll see how this goes. Hopefully this is just a nice little packet spike and it'll be done. But I already need liquor. Like, I need it because of this. So we'll get out this Mexico scotch and drink that. The viewer numbers are right now 175. Thanks, YouTube. We'll give everything a minute to stabilize and see how that goes. No, stop sending tech support advice. I'm not going to take any of it. If you send me tech support advice, I'm going to do the opposite. How's that? Because it's not correct. That's it. Chat BTFO'd by facts and logic. No matter how well-intentioned your tech support is, it's not correct. It's not accurate at all. I'm waiting for things to stabilize because this is fucking insane. Insane. This is not at all what I like to deal with here. I need to change something here. Okay. There's that. So that's better. This has nothing to do with the stream, by the way. Okay. I think we're good now. I think we're good. Woo! I love it. Because these are, there are problems you can fix and tinker with, and then there are problems that you can't. And this is, right as I fucking say it. Right as I fucking say it. Let's read this chat here. Wolfgang Dayo says, here's the best advice. Stop fucking bitching about how we are not correct. And then when you get off stream, try to plan for having a solid connection. This is only insane because you keep waiting until showtime to think of the enormous problems. You can't stop packet loss, you fucking retard. It's just how the internet works. Sometimes the connection isn't solid and there's not anything you can do to change that. You fucking dummy. Jesus Christ. It's not something in this room that can be changed. It is something between my router and YouTube, somewhere else. So that's why I said stop sending tech support advice, because there's nothing you can do to change it. There's nothing I can do to change it. Have to just deal with the packet loss. I'm trying to wait it out for a minute. And then, hopefully, the bitrate will stabilize and we can have a stream. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit here and yell for a while. Didn't the internet have a huge hiccup today? Don't know. Wasn't really on it that much. Oh. All right. Let's go. Let's get started. So today we have the Chad Lad gym teacher. We have a wild FBI sting operation. We have riotous justice, which is not righteous justice, riotous. There is some justice for some rioters that is happening. And we've got some other stuff that I'd like to get into. We'll see if we get to. Who knows? No idea. Tim Pool was freaking out about a cyber attack from China this morning. Do people still listen to Tim Pool about stuff like that? Like, is that a thing that people do? I wasn't sure if that was something that that people do. let's. Hmm. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Stream from the laptop so we can watch you yell at the other machine. That would be way, way worse. Yeah. I genuinely don't really know why anybody listens to Tim about stuff like that. You know, to me, Tim is good at reporting the news and giving opinions about journalism and how the news is done. And then he starts to get a little bit out there for me. That's where it gets a little bit beyond. But that's okay. You know, people like who they like, and that's great. Oh God, you're fucking back? Can you stop spamming, you weirdo? Just say it once. Amaranthus, there is no vest goal. Are you serious? Okay. Anyway, we've got. So let's let me do the let's get the chats going here so we can eventually get to this stuff. I also have a New York Times board member calling being very scared of American flags, and that's something that I think deserves talking about. We've got a big chat. We've got a very big chat in here that I need to get to right away. Tall Skinny Geek says, if there's another internet option in your area, there isn't. Consider subscribing to the second one too. That way you can at least fail over when it's F in the chat time. There isn't. There is not another internet subscriber option in my area. Actually, no. Let me correct that. There is one. I should definitely subscribe to it and stream from there. So you guys will see. No, there's not a viable other option than what I've got. I live out in the sticks, and that's just how it goes. Unfortunately, there isn't something like that. Oh yes, Starlink. Maybe Starlink would work. I don't know. I don't really consider that in my area because I guess it's in kind of every area. I have no idea how Starlink works with streaming. I don't know anything about its functionality. I saw Linus Tech Tips do a test on it, and it looked kind of okay. But I have no idea how it works for actually running a live stream. Lane Kyrie, I use Spectrum. Spectrum is the only internet around here that has more than 5 meg upload. It's the only one. It's the only one. I have offered to pay them to run fiber to my house, and they won't do it. I have offered to pay them for a business network. They won't do it. They don't do business to residential in this area. So, I don't. You know, what the amount I would pay for like Google Fiber is, it's incalculable what I would pay for it. But you know, there just isn't an option. There just isn't an option. You know, Spectrum actually generally does pretty well. It generally does pretty well. But this year in particular, I've had a couple issues with Spectrum service that I had not had for the past several years. But anyway, we'll figure all that out at some point. Like I said, I don't know if Starlink is a viable option in this area. I have no idea. Getting there are logistical issues with a Starlink and getting a line into a vault. So that's another fun concern. It's not a simple matter of running a line into a window or something weird. It's there are other physical barriers to having a failover. Getting a hardline Ethernet into the vault as it is was a pain in the ass. But so I'd have to have another hole drilled, which is fine, but it's a pain. It's a pain. Okay, let's see. Where were we? Richard Grubber said, "Good evening, gentlemen. We are going to win." At this point, I'm not sure. I don't think so. I don't believe in the win anymore. Not today. I was in good spirits. I really fucking hate the bitrate issues because Wolvenar, I have like the best router on that you can buy, but of course, other than a commercial router. So I'm not really fucking interested in that either. Bitrate issues are such a pain in the ass because they actually remove people from the stream. And that's great. So I was in a good mood. Now I'm not. Okay, John Cook says, Susan just killed Kiryu Koko, the Hololive dragon behind Asakoko and their version of meme review. She was demonetized for being wild ass and for calling Taiwan a country. Well, good. Let's see. Mithrin Emmer says, amazing. A night where YouTube and your equipment are being bigger boomers than you. That is one hell of an accomplishment. Pastor Flash says, my birthday today. Happy birthday, Pastor Flash. Bought a bottle of Whistle Pig 15-year. Have a drink with me. Also, check out the video of the guy who sleeps on the couch while his wife is fulfilled. Wait. What? What are you talking about? Oh, and Taiwan is definitely a country. So, yeah, and fuck the CCP. You sent me the video? Jesus Christ, why do people do this to me? Where'd you send it? I don't have it on Twitter. When you say you sent me the video, did you tag me on Twitter? Because that I will never see it. If that's the case. On the show Twitter timeline. Oh my God. Like the odds of me actually seeing a video tweeted to me are really, really low. Because of how Twitter delivers tweets. Which are, it's, God, I fucking hate Twitter. Let's see. Nope. God, I don't even see it. So that's nice. No idea. You got to direct message it to me. You can't, tagging me on Twitter, the odds of me seeing it is about 1 in 1,000. So, yeah, who knows? The Denialist says, front loading my donation for this stream while I prototype a voice modulator for my Tech Priest costume. Listening to this in the background and have a good one. Well, I apologize. This is what you're ending up listening to tonight. So, But good luck with that, man. Good luck. Rick Nikita says, I can stop packet loss from force of will alone, loser. Hey, where you been, man? How are you? How you doing? Nick's Hex says, there's this place called the Twin Cities where you'll likely have much better access to high-speed internet. It just so happened to be in the state you live in. You should move there, preferably to downtown Minneapolis. Yeah, no, that's tech support that I will do the opposite of. Living in Minneapolis is absolute garbage. Living in the Twin Cities, I hate it. Never again. Hashtag never again. Let's see. All right, there's the message. Oh, this guy. I saw something about this. Let me get it pulled up here. I saw the thumbnail for this in several places. Let me get my headphones. As for the mic peaking stuff, that's, you know, I'll have to work on the microphone, I guess, which I'm going to have to do again when I get a new interface again. But redoing all the filters, you want to talk about shit fucking work. And it is running audio filters yourself. Oh my God, I would rather eat gas-covered bullets and then light my insides on fire than fucking do audio balancing through filter programs. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It is mindless, soulless shit. Oh, fucking Christ. If there was like an audio engineer in my town, I would have them come do it. Like, that would be great. If there was, but again, since I live out in the boonies, there's no one who does that around here. I mean, I'm sure there is. Let me rephrase that. I'm sure there's somewhere around here who does that stuff, but I don't know them. And they don't just like put up ads because they're employed by like a radio station or something. All right, here we go. Let's get this audio going. All right.
So I choose to allow my girlfriend to sleep with other men.
Why?
That doesn't give you the right to call me a cuck.
You fucking cuck. Yes, it does. What are you talking about?
And this is a message for all the people out there using that hateful language.
Literally, okay, send us a message, buddy. No one is scared of a cuck. Nobody at all is intimidated by a cuck. You are the opposite of intimidation. You are impossible to actually threaten somebody. It doesn't process. Look at your fucking plexiglass glasses. Why would anybody... This is to all the people out there want to make fun of me for being a fucking cuck. Look, just because I licked the semen out of my wife doesn't make me a fucking cuck. Good Christ.
Why don't you try going a day in my shoes, where you are with someone you love very much and you want them to be able to express themselves physically and spiritually in a way that perhaps they can't do with just you. Now, personally, I would never sleep with another woman. I love my girlfriend.
Why don't you try walking a day in my shoes? No. Why would anybody want to? That sounds terrible. Your life is atrocious. Even you think, he even knows. Even the Drexels talked about this. The cucks even know because they're ashamed. Thank God. Thank God at least he's ashamed. He's just mad at the hateful rhetoric. He's just mad at the hateful rhetoric. But at least he's like, listen, I love her, but she just can't love with me.
very much. But I know that her needs require her to have the right to explore that territory. And if it means I have to sleep on the sofa a few days a week, then, so be it. Ultimately, our relationship means more to me than, my ego or my jealousy. So think about what you're saying when you use that word.
Is that fake though? Is that fake? That's too perfect. It's too spot on. That's gotta be on. That can't be real. That can't be real. No way. Andrew War Snowboard says, can you put a shirt on your Teespring that says Taiwan #1 on the front and victory on the back? Well, we'll see how the appeals go, maybe. Master Blaster says, no, screw Taiwan. I did some video editing work for a nonprofit that was for the purpose of freeing them. Literally scammed me out of $600 of work. Screw Taiwan. I hope they're never free. Is it Taiwan's fault that the nonprofit boned you? Is it their fault? That's gotta be I don't know, man. I that guy's gotta be a fake. I refuse to believe. I refuse. Let's see. Here we go. Here, where were we? Okay. I think we've got it. I think I've got it. I think it's time to start doing some of these stories. Should we start with the gym teacher? Did you guys hear about the gym teacher? So this is le-based gym teacher. Le-based gym teacher. He was suspended for his opinion. He gave a speech at like a PTA meeting or something else. And he was suspended from the district for it. His opinion was he wasn't going to lie to a kid and tell him that a biological boy could be a girl or a biological girl could be a boy. Because he says, nope, actually, you're just either a boy or a girl. Like, no matter what else you do, at the end of the day, that's what you are. You are either a boy or a girl. And, Jesus. And that's all there is to it. Goodness gracious. Okay, I might be able to fix the mic peaking here. This should be better. Turns out my the gain was way up higher than it needed to be. So, okay. But yeah, so he said, I can't lie to kids. It's against my beliefs. Not going to do it. So here we go. He was suspended, and he said if he was suspended, he would sue. So then he, as usual, all your fault. Well, since I have the limiter, like I can't see if it actually is peaking beyond, like, because I can't hear me. So the limiter is it keeps it at a certain decibel level, but it doesn't, I can't hear the sound of it compensating. Court orders Loudoun County School Board to reinstate teachers suspended for Christian speech on LGBT. It's eventually I'll get everything just perfect here. There we go. I was backing off the mic is what I was doing, but we'll do it this way. The 20th Judicial Circuit of Virginia is ordering the Loudoun County School Board in Virginia to immediately reinstate a gym teacher who was placed on leave after opposing transgender policies at a school board meeting last month. The court issued a temporary injunction on Tuesday, ordering the board to immediately reinstate gym teacher Byron Tanner Cross, who was suspended after he cited science and Christianity when opposing a draft policy that requires teachers to agree with children's claims that they are members of the opposite sex. Quote, I love all my students, but I will never lie to them regardless of the consequences, Cross said in part at a Loudoun County School Board meeting on May. You can tell this is a gym teacher and not an English teacher. You can tell that because, notice what he says. I love all my students, but I will never lie to them. Wait. So, why would lying to them, why would you have to, despite loving them, not lie? Let's just say, I love all my students, and because of that, I will never lie to them. That's the English way. That's the better Englishing. Just take out the but. I love all my students. I will never lie to them, regardless of the consequences, because of the love, right? That's obvious. Anyway, a court opinion by Judge James Plowman. Maybe he's railing that guy's wife. States that the plaintiff, Cross, contends that his suspension was an act of retaliation following his exercise of his rights of free speech. In that, his speech was constitutionally protected, the defendant's retaliatory action adversely affected his constitutionally protected speech, and there was a causal relationship between the speech and the action, which of course there was. Of course there was. Judge Plowman continued. Oh my goodness. Let me read this super chat first. Storm Crow 900 says, I feel your tech pains. Spent last week recovering from hard drive failure and spent the last 4 hours troubleshooting and recovering from master boot record. Got online just in time for your stream. Cheers. Well, you know, the fucking tech thing has been just building for me over the past week and a half. Necromunda turns out, by the way, I'm pretty sure that Necromunda was fucking up through OBS because of shit code in Necromunda, and that there was nothing I could do. I did test it out today, and it seems to work better. But they had a complete stability patch today, so there was that, and then having all of my monitors turn off right before the stream yesterday really got annoying. That was really frustrating. But I fixed it today. Everything was fine. Yeah, I know you guys told me that. I wasn't denying that it happened. It was just frustrating not being able to do anything about it. Stop cussing. Not today, buddy. Not fucking today. Okay. So Judge Plowman continued. Whether the plaintiff's speech at the school board meeting was protected is determined by applying the standards set forth in Pickering versus Board of Education. More specifically, was plaintiff speaking as a citizen on a matter of public concern, and do plaintiff's interest in speaking outweigh defendants in restricting the plaintiff? Here it is clear that plaintiff was speaking as a citizen, not in his official capacity. His speech was not conducted at his usual place of employment, occurred during non-working hours, and at a forum where public comment was invited. Plaintiff had to abide by the same process to speak as any other citizen. Although this is not formally conceded by the defendant's analysis of this, analysis of this was not argued. Why does a judge have an apostrophe here? Please tell me that's from Breitbart. Please tell me that's from Breitbart and not from the judge. There's no possessive on the defendants. There's no possessive here. It is further apparent that the subject matter upon which the plaintiff spoke was one that can only be described as a matter of public concern. The enactment of a school policy as it relates to transgender issues, as well as the expected conduct of staff and students within the public school system, falls squarely within the scope. Additionally, defendants referenced related school policies on the same subject matter, as well as Virginia statutes and federal law. Laws and policies enacted by an elected legislators, by their very nature, invite political discourse. They are, on their face, matters of public, political, and societal interest. Judge Plowman went on to say, well, he goes on to say a lot, apparently. The court finds that the plaintiff's speech and religious content are central to the determination made by the defendants to suspend plaintiff's employment, and that is obvious. That much is obvious. Whoops. Damn it. Fuck. Wrong buttons. That much is obvious. He was clearly expressing opinions about a matter of public concern. And they decided to suspend him for his speech. We'll do it again. We'll do it again. That one's on me. That one's on me. So there we go. We've actually got a judge making the appropriate decision here. And the appropriate decision in this case is finding that this guy was not speaking in his official capacity. Do gym teachers even have an official capacity to speak? Like, are they, is that a thing? Do we ever expect a gym teacher to give a public speech? Not really. Not really. So, with that being said, his speech was protected. It was his personal opinions and his freedom of speech definitely outweighed any desire they would have in censoring the speech. So this is good news. This is good news. Now, I mean, at the end of the day, this guy works for a shit school board and he's toast. He's toast. He's a marked man, but they didn't, they can't just take away everything he has. They have to do it in the shitty way. If I were him, I'd be looking to get out of that county as soon as possible. That's, because he's a target. He's a target. Okay, let's take a look at this. FBI sting operation. This is a lesson in cybersecurity from the criminal side. If someone gives you a cool system to use exclusively, like that only criminals can use, it's a fucking Fed. It's a Fed. If you go, like, shouldn't they have learned from the child traffickers here? It's a Fed. This isn't actually entrapment. This is not entrapment. This may be something different. It may be a Fourth Amendment violation, but it's not entrapment. They did not induce the criminals to participate in criminal activity. They just gave them a system by which they could discuss their ongoing criminal activity. That's vastly different from entrapment and will not hold up. Will not hold up, as an entrapment defense would fail miserably here. So here we go. 800 were arrested in a global sting operation. They were using an FBI-built app. A massive international sting involving 16 countries, including the U.S., has netted more than 800 suspects. Seizure of 8 tons of cocaine, which is almost enough for Amber Heard, and more than $48 million, officials said Tuesday. The FBI and Australian law enforcement developed and operated an encrypted device company called Anom that was then used to gain access to organized crime networks in more than 100 countries, according to Europol, law enforcement agency of the European Union. Operation Trojan Shield is a shining example of what can be accomplished when law enforcement partners from around the world work together and develop state-of-the-art investigative tools to detect, disrupt, and dismantle transnational criminal organizations, said Calvin Shivers, the assistant director of the FBI's Criminal Investigative Division, in a press conference in The Hague, Netherlands. ANOM's users believe the devices to be secure, according to Janine. Sorry, I thought it said Janny for a second. According to Janine Vandenberg of the Dutch National Police at the press conference, access to the communications of those involved in criminal networks meant that law enforcement agencies were able to read encrypted messages over the course of 18 months. So, is this a Fourth Amendment violation? Will be the question. This would only apply to American criminals. It would only apply to the Americans involved here. But did they have a right to monitor the communications of people who believed they were on an encrypted network with an expectation of privacy? Did they have that? That's a real question for any of the... Now, for the other countries, well, sorry, you're not Americans and you don't have a Fourth Amendment, so RIP to you. Those, anything outside of America. Now, if they were communicating internationally, there could be things like FISA court warrants and stuff like that. We don't know. But they should have to have a warrant requirement to monitor these communications. Just because they set up a company that was clearly a Fed op and convinced people that it was not a Fed op does not make them somehow able to do this. I don't believe. And I don't believe it should. I don't believe that is an appropriate action for the federal government to engage in, frankly. If you're going to do it with a warrant, do it with a warrant all day. But yeah, absent a warrant, I don't agree. I do not agree. It's in the terms of service. Might be. Was it actually in there? Does it say, by the way, we're the feds? Fuck you. You should have read the terms. Michael Albert, it technically would apply to more than citizens. It would apply... The Constitution's reach goes as far as the jurisdictional reach of the United States. That's where it goes. The jurisdictional reach of the United States does go outside of its own borders when U.S. citizens are concerned, and within its own borders may concern non-citizens. So it's hard to say exactly how far it is. Don't know. Let's see. Here we go. In addition to the cocaine, I love the cocaine. The operation netted 22 tons of marijuana, 2 tons of meth and amphetamines, and 250 firearms, U.S. authorities said. The worldwide implications of this investigation are staggering. Acting U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of California, Randy Grossman, told reporters in San Diego the platform's users communicated in 45 languages about trafficking and drugs, arms and explosives, armed robberies, contract killings, and more, said Vanderberg. I think what surprised us is how open they were about planning, FBI Special Agent in Charge Suzanne Turner told reporters in San Diego. It was exactly what car was coming to what location, what maybe vessels or ships. They were very explicit in their detail because they believed it was secure communications. Well, yeah. Of course they were specific. Of course they were specific. They believed it was encrypted, end-to-end, secure communications, literally with only other criminals having access. What are you going to do? Be not specific? so that your guy goes to a different car for the drop, I guess. It should not. Why would that surprise them? Very weird. Notice what's missing from this list. They don't talk about human trafficking on this list. Spurious. They are Espicurious. He the guy who recommended the app was an informant, obviously, but he was a criminal guy. He's like, hey, I got this sweet app. Let's do it. But notice there's no human trafficking listed. So they have a giant human trafficking is a huge problem, right? Human trafficking, we're told every day, every major event, that human trafficking is a huge problem. They don't talk about rescuing any kids in this operation, any women being trafficked or anything like that. It's a huge problem. Giant criminal underground organizations are trafficking women and children all over the place. We know this. How come in a giant multinational global sting operation involving major criminal organizations speaking in 45 languages, they don't catch a single fucking kid or woman? Not one? Not one? Why is that? Yeah, NF caps. Turns out my correct bitrate was hiding inside Carol Baskin's Tiger. Her husband handed it to me directly. Makes you wonder who's doing the trafficking, doesn't it? Right? Like, oh, we got all the big honchos of all these criminal organizations. We got all their communications. Up. Weird. There's no kids here, women. Yeah. Yeah. And more. I think if they had broken up human trafficking rings, that'd be the news everyone wants to hear. Frankly, I don't care so much. Oh, we got cocaine. Yeah, okay. It's going to be missing from the evidence locker in a month. I don't care that you found a bunch of weed and cocaine and meth. Frankly, look, I can walk downtown and find some weed, cocaine, and meth. You're not fucking special with your cool app. Like, I don't even need an app to do it, probably. I could probably just go on Craigslist or whatever and find weed, cocaine, and meth. All the, like, little small town drug dealers are like, so they found coke, weed, and meth, huh? They want to give me the number to that guy, so maybe he's got cheaper rates. Like, everybody wants the human trafficking headline. That's the one everybody wants. They don't have it. Why not? I'm much more concerned with them protecting kids than with them stopping some distribution of drugs. Nearly 3 years ago, the Australian Federal Police began developing the technology that allowed law enforcement to access and read messages sent on a platform covertly run by the FBI. Wait. So the FBI makes an app. The FBI makes an app to get drug traffickers and international criminals to talk to each other. And Australia has to spend 3 years to intercept and read the messages. Why don't they just have the app? Like, why aren't they just... Why wasn't that just built in as a backdoor? Like, what? Why did... If the FBI makes the communications app, I don't feel like you'd need 3 years of development to intercept the messages. Were they running from emus? Like, what's going on? How are they not just having access? The captured data has given the AFP evidence and unique insights in how organized crime works in Australia and internationally, how they move drugs, money, guns, and organized murders. Again, nothing about people. In addition to the arrests and seizures of drugs, weapons, and money, Shield said the operation was able to mitigate over 100 threats to life. The access to their networks also enabled law enforcement agencies to see photographs of hundreds of tons of cocaine concealed in shipments of fruit and canned goods. Oh, so they got pictures of cocaine, but they couldn't find any of that stuff. Authorities said they pulled the trigger on these mass arrests because the criminal enterprises had reached critical mass. This was an ideal time to take it down, Turner said. We decided, based on the amount of crime that was occurring, the threats to life, it was time to get these criminals off the street. The scale of the cooperation between so many different countries made this operation notable, according to Keith Ditcham, a senior research fellow in organized crime and policing at the London-based RUSI think tank. I wouldn't say it's unheard of, but it's rare, he said. Being able to mount an operation where all those different differences and nuances in legislation and regarding intelligence collection that requires a sizable amount of coordination and requires a lot of effort by the authorities to make sure the information is not leaked out. Follow-up of the operation, exactly how it will affect organized crime groups in the future has yet to be seen. It won't affect them in the future, other than they'll know better. Just use Signal or Telegram or whatever. Use encrypted Facebook. It doesn't matter. Like, use burner phones. Just go back to using burner phones. Simple. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison said in a press conference Tuesday that the operation struck a heavy blow against organized crime, not just in this country, one that will echo around organized crime around the world. Around. At the end of the day, this is 800 people being arrested across the globe. I think they're overselling it a bit. $8 tons of cocaine. Okay. They had pictures of over 80 tons of cocaine stored in fruit containers. They got 10% of what they saw. It's a heavy blow. You only saw 10%, or you only saw what you saw. And then you only got 10% of what you saw. These people are really, really excited over what they did. Okay. Adam D says, sorry to change the subject, but Lucas Gerhard's hearing in Michigan Court of Appeals is tomorrow at 10 a.m. Oh, good. Yes. Thank God. I was wondering how Lucas's situation was doing. Video will be posted to YouTube hours after. Judges appear to be liberal, conservative, and a moderate. Send Lucas your prayers. If you guys do not remember, Lucas Gerhard is the young man. The young man. I always call him a kid because he's young to me. But the young man who has been arrested, jailed, and then house arrested for over a year now without bail because he took a Snapchat picture of his AR-15 and they decided that that was a threat of a mass shooting or something. That's up in Michigan. So, hopefully Lucas we'll get some good news from him. The kid needs to be taken off the fucking ankle bracelet. It's insane. It's an insane situation. No one should be under the government's boot without a proper hearing. Remember that bail is a human right and it's been denied to him. The people who blew up federal courthouses, they got bail. He got bail after 83 days in jail, just $250,000 plus house arrest. Oh, okay, yeah. That's not the same. This is nothing. $250,000 bail for a Snapchat. Absolutely awful. Hopefully, I talked to one of his attorneys, solid guy. I've talked to Lucas's dad, also a solid guy. These are good people. And I'm hoping his the attorney that they've got now seems to be a go-getter, and I'm hoping that they have some good results tomorrow. So, because what's happening to him is insane. He shouldn't even be charged at this point. Yeah, Adam, can you let me know, like text me when the video goes up? Because I want to see how that goes. Maybe we'll watch it live, or we'll either, we could live stream the video or do it at night. I don't know. It depends on how things go tomorrow. Sega says, I have a friend who is going to throw out their old Games Workshop minis, and they gave them to me instead a couple years back. I sold the ones that weren't $40K on eBay last week and made over $1,000. Here's your cut, lawman. Awesome. Congrats. Oh, Mark's in the chat. Good. Good. Howdy, Mark. Peace, brother. Cheers. Cheers. Praying for your family. Legitimately praying for you and your family. And hopefully this mess will be over soon. Yeah. Yeah. Mark's a retired Marine colonel. And again, to see someone who served this country the way that he did, to have his family put through this over some sensibilities of some feminista from Lucas's college, because that's what this is. Probably won't go into this whole thing tonight, but the short story about this is it's not just the Snapchat. The Snapchat was the catalyst for the criminal charges, which are bogus, absolutely bogus. They run counter to the statute. They run counter to common law ideas of threats, all of that stuff. They're legally unsound things. But what this story is really about is about a feminist college student who is offended that Lucas did not fully support women with unequal standards for joining law enforcement. And as part of a discussion in a college course about the subject, made a post that just said, you know what? I don't think women should be able to be in law enforcement unless they can pass the same physical tests as men. That's about it. That's about the gist of it. And then from that day, right, like Hugh Jackman, from now on, for 2 years, they talked bad about him. They ostracized him. They tried to isolate and destroy his reputation at the college. They destroyed his opportunities with various law enforcement. They were after him for 2 straight years for one opinion in one class that was part of the class discussion. And this was part of that. This was part of that. Lucas wanted to be a cop. He was working with the police in like a junior officer or cadet officer program, something like that. He got removed from that, got canceled from that. They made sure of that really fast. And then following the cancellation, was then arrested by one of the agencies that he would presumably have wanted to work with over a Snapchat. Over speech. Quintessential element of liberty in this country. The underlying bedrock of everything this country has ever built was the right to speak without fear of prosecution from the government. It's Yeah. I'll answer this question. Adam just answered it as well, but I'll read it here too. Asia Fraser says, if Lucas succeeds in court, will he be compensated for his time and all he'd had to pay and whatnot? Like, who pays for wrongful imprisonment? Anybody? No, he's not. He's not currently wrongfully imprisoned under the law. So he and his family have the joy of paying off this bill themselves. And let me just let you know, this is not a cheap thing. This is not a cheap thing at all. In fact, maybe I should bring this up. You have to typically, you get to pay. You get the opportunity to pay for your confinement. You get to pay for the ankle bracelet, for example, which has a daily rate. You get to pay for any, mandatory drug testing or whatever you may have to do, because this is through state courts. Federal courts shoulder some of these costs sometimes. State courts tend to not do it. So you get to pay for all this while you're trying to pay for a lawyer to defend yourself. And remember, you're supposed to be presumed innocent. Plus, you get the honor of paying for the bail, which $250,000 bail means at least a $25,000 bond, and that money will go away forever. So if you refuse to pay, you go to jail. You go to jail. Here we go. So I'll put this up here. This is justice for Lucas. This is Lucas's picture right here. Here is the GoFundMe. Thank goodness he did get some more exposure recently and has raised some more money. I know people on this show have contributed in the past. And thank you for that. But if anybody is compelled, feels like they should help out Lucas, this GoFundMe, even though it's sizable right now, will not cover the cost of a year in this kid's life. I don't know what the amount would be, right? But it will not cover the costs of losing a year of your life. Over a year now. To the government being at the whim of some little tardy feminist. So, yeah, I'll put the link in the chat. Here's the link. So there you go. Make sure you check out the link. If that's something you feel compelled to do, every dollar helps this family a lot, and they have been through a ton. I don't know. I think about it, and I'm like, what would have happened to me? What would my life be like if a snarky comment I made in college, and I made many snarky comments in college, but a snarky comment in college takes you from 20 to 21 and beyond. Or maybe it was 19 to 20 and beyond. I don't remember exactly what age, if he was 19 or 20 when he was taken in, but a whole year deleted. He doesn't get to keep going through school. He doesn't get that. Probably doesn't get to go back to that school either. Just deleted. There's not much. Will Lucas have a 1983 claim later? Maybe. If I'm not mistaken, his attorneys have already civilly sued the prosecutor for abusing the actual threat law, because the threat law has a potential cause of action built into it that says that the government is not allowed to bring these claims against someone when the presumption would suggest that their speech would be protected. And in Lucas's case, the presumption is that his speech would be protected. You have to have an overt threat, more than what they have. So they have sued the prosecutor on this. Whether or not that will succeed is a Okay, so he says correct, but they sued the prosecutor, but the same idiot judge rolled it into the criminal case and dismissed it. So there you go. If you're looking for justice in this case, justice in this case will come when his case is ultimately dismissed as it should be, or he is found not guilty, and justice will then come from the people. So it's a garbage situation happening to good people. And one day, I hope I can shake Lucas's and Mark's hands. I think that would be pretty cool. But and hopefully we can do it away from Lucas's house. That's the goal. Phew. What a frustrating case that is. So I will definitely be following up coverage on that tomorrow. I'm glad to hear that the appeals court case is going on. I think we should just listen to the hearing. And we'll see how it goes. But the other unfortunate thing is, as we know with appeals courts, it's entirely possible that they don't come to a decision tomorrow. They probably won't. But they are asking, I believe, for immediate relief. So maybe they will. We'll have to see. I'm not familiar with Michigan appeals courts or what the specific relief they're asking for is, or what the expected timelines are, but we'll check it out. All right, next. Oh, yeah. This is a feel-good story. Before the feel-good story. Nah, we'll do the feel-good story first. Is this it? This is a Minneapolis story. This is about justice for some people who are not very smart, getting a little comeuppance. Minneapolis Police precinct fire. 4th man sentenced to federal prison. $12 million restitution in George Floyd riot. So we've got Bryce Michael Williams posted videos of himself during the riot to TikTok. So let's see. The 4th and final man charged with helping burn down a Minneapolis police precinct during the civil unrest last summer over the death of George Floyd has been sentenced to 27 months in prison and ordered to pay $12 million in restitution. This, what, 2 years and 3 months or whatever? That's it? That's it. They burned down a police station and got 2 years and 3 months. Oh, is there music playing? Fuck. Put this in perspective. Lucas's case may take longer than this. Like, 2 years and 3 months is all they're getting. 12 million. Yeah, they'll just never pay it back. They'll never pay it back. After he spends the 2 years and 3 months behind bars, Bryce Michael Williams, 27 of Staples, Minnesota, will serve another 2 years of supervised relief. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Minnesota announced Monday. Oh, good job. Good job. Williams pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to commit arson in November. Court documents allege that Williams went to the 3rd precinct where a crowd of hundreds had gathered on the night of May 28th. The crowd began shouting, "Burn it down, burn it down." A fence that was designed to keep trespassers out of the building was torn down. Williams and others then breached the fence and entered the 3rd precinct. Surveillance video footage showed Williams standing near the entrance of the building holding a Molotov cocktail, while another co-conspirator, identified as 25-year-old Devon DeAndre Turner, lit the wick. Turner took the Molotov cocktail into the building where it was used to start a fire, prosecutors said. Williams later threw a box on an existing fire located just outside the 3rd precinct entrance. All 4 defendants charged in federal court have now been sentenced for their individual roles in the burning and near total destruction of the Minneapolis Police Department's 3rd precinct building. Acting U.S. Attorney W. Anders Folk said Mr. Williams and his co-defendants have been held accountable for their dangerous and destructive actions. I thank our federal, state, and local partners who pursued justice in these cases. In the court Monday, Judge Patrick Schultz described Williams as a good person who made a terrible mistake. Stop it. Stop. In giving him a prison term lower than recommended by federal sentencing guidelines. But the judge also asserted that Williams was a leader, not a follower, when a violent crowd stormed the police precinct last May and therefore shot down his probation request. Williams posted videos of himself and others during the riot to his TikTok account, which has since garnered more than 150,000 followers. Also speaking in the courtroom was former Minneapolis police officer who did not give her name, but detailed how the fire at the precinct and lasting riots has impacted law enforcement and others. She detailed how she would send photos of herself before and after each shift last summer to let her family know that she survived. She's among the nearly 300 officers who have since resigned from the Minneapolis Police Department in the wake of Floyd's death, as many have cited post-traumatic stress from the civil unrest that follows. So much we lost, it was more than bricks and mortar. Schultz outlined how Williams, a father and former college basketball player, had stopped drinking and smoking marijuana and held steady jobs, including working in security since his arrest last June. The judge agreed to recommend Williams be placed in a federal facility in Duluth to remain close to family. Williams has until July 13th to surrender himself to authorities. The ATF, the FBI, and Minneapolis Police Department and Minnesota State Fire Marshal Division carried out the joint investigation of the incident. The case was prosecuted by Assistant U.S. Attorneys Harry M. Jacobs and David P. Steinkamp. All 4 people charged in connection to setting the police precinct fire have now been sentenced. Turner was sentenced on May 13th to 36 months in prison. Dylan Shakespeare Robinson, 23, was sentenced on April 28th to 48 months in prison. Brandon Michael Wolf, 23, was sentenced on May 4th to 41 months in prison. All 3 were also each ordered to pay $12 million in restitution. Court documents allege 23-year-old Wolf pushed a barrel into a fire located on the entrance of the precinct in order to help accelerate the blaze. He also was accused of taking several items from the building, including a police vest, duty belt, handcuffs, baton, knife, and ammunition. Prosecutors said he was arrested in June 2020 wearing those same stolen police vests, duty belt, and carrying a tactical baton. Robinson was accused of breaching the fence, entering the building before lighting the wick to an object held by another person who threw it with the intent to start a fire or fuel an existing fire. There you go. I guess that's some justice. That's some justice. I read the headline. I was like, oh, finally he's going to prison. This guy's gonna get what's coming to him. Fuck that. Well, 2 years, 27 months. That's a long time. That $12 million, does he have to pay it? I mean, yeah. He'll have a payment plan. The payment plan has to be like weighted to his income. He's never going to pay it back. He'll just pay some percentage of his paycheck for the rest of his life. It's yeah. He's basically going to have a car payment forever. But yeah, that's someone said he just won't work. Yep. He'll have to probably work during his probation. That maybe a condition of his probation is working some fast food job or whatever. But then once his probation is over, 2 years working retail, and then after that, whatever. You can't bankruptcy a criminal judgment. No. Drew Bradley, yeah, I've seen that guy. Next. I keep seeing my kids running around. I'm like, what are they doing awake? Okay. Where is it? I thought I had this story up somewhere. Here we go. This is one of those brain scrambling stories. New York Times, MSNBC's Mara Gay, hashtag Pride Month, disturbing to see dozens of American flags on trucks in Long Island. New York Times board member, there needs to be a conversation about whiteness. MSNBC contributor Mara Gay said Tuesday she was disturbed to see dozens of American flags flown by Donald Trump supporters during a weekend trip to Long Island. Left-wing editorial board member, no kidding, for the New York Times, you could have just said the editorial board member for the New York Times, was also distressed by what she called expletives on the trucks against President Biden, describing the flag-flying Trump supporters as sending a clear message: this is my country, not your country. I own this. And it's apparently about whiteness, even though... Does she know that Joe Biden ain't black? Here we go. Let's...
I think this is another area where Democrats really need to get serious about talking about what this threat is. I think you said it really well, Joe, a minute ago, where you talked about the need to stop being surprised by all of this and start taking it seriously. You know, it's really concerning to me that the Democrats haven't just gone ahead at this point and said we're doing this on our own in terms of getting a commission together to explain to the American people how we allowed the insurrection to take place in the Capitol. I think that
this is a New York Times editorial board member who can't figure out how a 50-50 split Congress with a filibuster cannot just have one party go it alone to create a commission, which would require federal funds to investigate the Capitol riots. This thing is supposed to be a New York Times editorial board member. You would presume they would have a basic grasp of civics. You need to have 10 Republicans in the Senate vote with your plan. You have to. Otherwise, you can't do it. Period. Let's check out and of course, an insurrection. What insurrection occurred? Like, look, call it the protest, call it a riot, call it a violent act. We'll talk about the violent act in a minute. Call it whatever you want, but insurrection is an improper term. They clearly had no tangible aims of overthrowing the government. In fact, they wanted to keep the government there. It's the opposite of an insurrection. It would be a surrection or whatever, maybe just an erection. They wanted to keep the existing government. I'm not saying that that's right, but that's what they wanted. They wanted Trump, who was in office, to remain in office. The insurrection would have to happen afterwards, and it would have to be run by people who were serious about doing it. They would have to have some sort of plan to institute a different governmental structure than what existed. These were just people who went into the Capitol building. They didn't seem to have any plan that would last beyond the 30 seconds from now that they were living in. What were they going to do to enforce a new government? What were they going to do to stop Congress? There were no weapons. There were no guns. Again, something we're going to talk about in a minute. There's none of this. How are you going to do it? You have to have guns and you have to have leverage. Eric the Red says, wasn't this the same woman who said that Bloomberg could give every U.S. citizen $1 million and have money left over? Might be. Maybe this is the problem.
It really needs to move forward swiftly. The reality is here that we have a large percentage of the American population. I don't know how big it is, but we have tens of millions of Trump voters who continue to believe that their rights as citizens are under threat by simple virtue of having to share the democracy with others.
That is zero people. That is zero people believe that sharing democracy with others is a threat to their civil rights. Nobody believes that. What they believe is that their rights were violated because of issues at the election. People believe that. People believe that their free speech rights are being violated all the time, because they are. People believe that their Fourth Amendment rights to privacy and security in their homes, in their thoughts, in their possessions are being violated, because they are, by the Nazi Gestapo communists. The people believe that because it's true. But it has nothing to do with, quote unquote, sharing democracy with anybody. Blaze Storm says, amazing how he gets less time for burning down a building versus someone who does a non-violent crime here. Yeah.
I think as long as they see Americanness as the same as one with whiteness, this is going to continue.
You see that. That's you. Listen to the projection. See, Americanness as the same as whiteness? That's you, lady. That's why you're scared of American flags.
Have to figure out how to get every American a place at the table in this democracy, but how to separate Americanness, America, from whiteness. Until we can confront that and talk.
Do you hear the NBC cucks in the background? Tubing away while she talks. Until we can confront this thing that I manufactured in my head. Until we can confront the fiction I created.
Talk about that. This is really going to continue. I was on Long Island this weekend visiting a really dear friend, and I was really disturbed. I saw, dozens and dozens of pickup trucks with, explicatives against Joe Biden on the back of them, Trump flag.
Explicatives? Isn't it expletives? It's expletives. Explicative is a word. It means serving to explain logically what is contained in the subject. So, yeah, okay. There you go. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's true. This New York Times editorial board member. It's expletive. That's when you say fuck Joe Biden. That's an expletive. The fuck word is an expletive. It's not an explicative. An explicative would be Joe Biden is a fucker. As in one who fucks. That would be explicative of the subject being Joe Biden. But that's not what... You have to... The New York Times editorial board. This bitch approves editorials for the biggest newspaper in the country.
Flags, and some cases just dozens of American explicatives against Joe Biden on the back of them, Trump flags, and some cases just dozens of American flags, which is also just disturbing because essentially the message was clear. It was, this is my country. This is not your country. I own this. And so
dozens of American flags, which is disturbing. I have never in my life been disturbed by any flag. I can't think of a flag that could disturb me. Like, I can't think of a flag that could disturb me. Certainly not American flags. That's the farthest one down on the list. Let's see. Got a chat here from Adam. Let me read this. Mark Gerhard. This is from Adam D. Says, Mark Gerhard says he sent a super chat saying, whoever the madman is that just donated $600, we are giddy and so grateful, and thank you too, Nick, but I didn't see it. Mark says, maybe I dorked it up. Dorked is greater than boomered, I say. Whoever did that is awesome. Thank you so much. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Also, yeah, Mark, you dorked that one up. So here we go. Here we go.
So until we're ready to have that conversation, this is going to continue. What really is concerning to me as well is it's not just Democrats in Congress. I think there's a large percentage of Americans, even some of my colleagues in journalism, who are invested in some way in pretending that this isn't the threat that it is. That is the real concern, because, the Trump voters who are not going to get on board with democracy, they're a minority. You can marginalize them long term, but if we don't...
You can marginalize them long term. You can marginalize them. She wants to marginalize minorities. Let's see. I'm going to tweet right now because I'm a jerk. Amazing hearing super racist Mara Gay advocate for marginalizing minorities. What an absolutely colossal pile of garbage she is. Also, Sweet Cheeks. It's expletive, not explicative. You're on the editorial board for the New York Times for fucks. That's an expletive sake. Tweet. Okay. Whew. Oh my God. Here she is. She's like, they're minorities. They can be marginalized. Right? But the whole thing, she's scared. She's scared. She's talking about democracy. This whole thing is talking about democracy. But listen to the hypocrisy in her statements. She's mad that people are expressing their opinion in a democratic way. They're rallying. They're showing they're exercising their free speech. They're advocating for the political positions, parties, and people that they want to see. That is exercising democracy. Trump flags that and signs that say fuck creepy Uncle Joe or whatever. That's democracy. That's how it works. It's for her, democracy is literally only vote Joe Biden. Like that's it. It's unfathomable how ridiculously myopic these people are. Let's finish up. She's got 8 seconds left.
Take the threat seriously, then I think we're all in really bad shape.
Totally agree. Mara Gay and Tom Nichols,
Totally agree. Mara Gay and Tom Nichols, thank you for joining us. We'll get right to the next story after this next commercial break. Let's see. Anything else? It's all just her quotes. Same. Gay received no pushback from the MSNBC hosts or fellow panelists after making the comments. Times and MSNBC did not respond to requests for comments. Good God. That's where we are, man. That's where this is. We've got a group of people propagandizing the idea that the democratic process merely means conformity and agreement with the Democrat Party. And read between what she's saying. Read between what she's saying. She wants the Democrat Party to unilaterally take action to shut down the free speech of Americans. That's what she said. That's not, there's no stretch there. I'm not taking her out of context. That's what she wants. She wants action immediately from the Democratic Party to recognize the threat posed by Americans showing American flags and being dissatisfied with President Joe Biden and being in favor of Donald Trump, that they need to have action taken against them as dangerous Americans. Like beyond the shit posts of the tweet, because the tweet I made was a shit post. That's the real issue. Is that it's advocating government intervention in private citizen speech for the purpose of cementing a particular political party. That's what they accuse the right of doing. That's what they accuse Trump of doing. And Trump clearly didn't, because if he did, he would still be in office. But he didn't do that. Instead, he eventually acknowledged the constitutional process by which he was determined to lose the election handed over power to Joe Biden peacefully, as he always maintained that he would. And a lot of his base are really mad at him for doing it. But that's what happened. At the end of the day, the only people advocating violence, openly advocating violence in the mainstream for a political purpose are Democrats. There are no Republicans advocating violence. None of the Republicans even endorsed the January 6th stuff. And they could have. Like, no mainstream Republicans did. No Republican congressman did. You would never catch someone on Fox News endorsing it because Fox News would be in a lot of trouble for doing that. But here we have someone advocating for political violence against their political adversaries to maintain political power. And they're on the editorial board of the largest newspaper in the United States and one of the largest newspapers in the world. It's amazing. Okay. Couple more chats. And then I've got one more story about the Capitol riot that's going on. And then we'll probably wrap up the show. I bring up the story of the Capitol riot because it goes right in line with Mara Gay and her comments. And there's some interesting stuff I want to talk about. Mr. Bentham says, ugh, she's doing that thing with her voice where it sounds like a question. That's what is that called? It's not vocal fry, but upspeak, I think is what it's called. I think it's called upspeak, where you end every sentence like this. And then that way people are led to take your conclusions as propositions. It's a little bit of a safe way to talk. Even though it isn't a question, also change the white to any other race. This woman is a racist. Yes. Oh, by the way, you guys, I know a lot of you guys saw my Lori Lightfoot video today that I did about the Chicago mayor, being racist. And it took me a while to get it monetized because I'm pretty sure, and it wasn't demonetized until I put the thumbnail on. And I think it's because I put no whites in the thumbnail. No whites. Apparently YouTube decided that might be a little racist. But it did get monetized upon review. So it's all good. It's all good. Cringe Lord says, we live rent-free in their heads. Our powers of meme magic cannot be held back, no matter how much they screech. The memes are forever, is forever. Sing Chatelet in the face of these commie fools. Mithrin Emrys says, so she is talking about how important democracy is while simultaneously saying that certain people need to be marginalized, and she completely misses the irony of that statement. Also, chances that my tweet equals a ban, I think they're low. Radically moderate live streams, which probably means I'll be banned forever. Says, I pay $7 a month for MetLife legal insurance through my work's group plan. I don't even know how much money I'm saving. I'm not even billed. Must be thousands. Not paid to say this. I have extra money because have some shekels. Hey, thanks, buddy. Are you being sued? Radically moderate live streams? Okay, let's see. Wish to Boy 20 says, you've said more base things before. That is true. I have said more base things before. However, The thing you have to realize about Twitter is it's never the tweet you think that's going to get you. It's never the tweet you think. The tweet that got my Twitter account banned was me calling some guy a mutant. Mitchell Horton, a consummate mutant, an absolute little mongrel of a man, probably of a manlet, who is just a weirdo. I called him a mutant. That's it. I've said way worse, infinitely worse, and that is the tweet that did it. That's the one that did it in. Didn't he call me worse things? You know, he just accused me of federal crimes. That's all. That's all. And I think I did that Trump story today too about E. Jean Carroll, where the focus of all the stories about Trump's response to E. Jean Carroll, where he said she's not my type, right? Because she's hideous. She looks like Jane Lynch aged 80 years. Oh, it's horrifying. Trump said she's not my type in response to her accusations of rape. Now, remind you, she accused Donald Trump of raping her, which he maintains is false. But he said, she's not my type. She's a liar promoting her book. That's the egregious comment. That's the egregious comment. It's like, well, what about the false accusation? Isn't that egregious? Shouldn't we be worried about that? But you can do that all day. Like, you go on Twitter right now and you can accuse whoever you want. Don't do this. Don't do this. This is not legal advice. But you'll see other people do this. You can accuse any public figure specifically. You can go out and accuse them of the worst stuff in the world. See, they rape children and all that stuff. And just throw it out there. You can destroy someone's life with these accusations. You can tarnish their reputation, irreparably tarnish their reputations all day long. But if you respond to a person who says, so-and-so, Nick Rekieta raped, Monica Lewinsky behind the Denny's where he found her in a dumpster after Bill was done with her. You say that about me, and I say, shut up, you fat bitch. I'm the bad guy for saying fat bitch. That's the weirdest thing in the world. That blows my mind. Okay. Here we go. Here's the last story of the day. Monica's Waffle House quality. That's what you're dealing with right now? God. Okay, here's the last story of the day, then we'll wrap up. We'll go to Twitch and I'll boomer through Necromunda Hired Gun a bit until I get bored with it, which I'm guessing won't take too long. We'll find out. Okay. Senate report details security failures in January 6th Capitol riot. By the way, I still have a ton of liquor in here waiting for 1,000 likes, but it's up to you guys. If you don't want to do it because I yelled at you earlier, I understand. And I deserve it. But you should know that, chat, you deserved it too. You deserved it too. Okay. A 127-page joint report. Then I got high. It's the most comprehensive and detailed account to date on the intelligence, communications, and policing failures around the Capitol riot. All right, we got it. We got it. This is Buchanan's Deluxe Blended Scotch Whiskey. It's about $40 for what? Is this a liter? A big bottle. Yeah, 1 liter. It's about $40 a liter, which is pretty cheap for a scotch, but it's I'm hiccuping. It's fairly smooth for the price. All right. Let's take a look at this intelligence report. They're very mad. Here's why. Before we jump into the report, let me preview why they're so mad about this report. This report does not say that Donald Trump directed people to attack the Capitol building, and every single news outlet is losing their goddamn minds because it doesn't say that. Arcane Sidious, thank you. Thank you for confirming. Also, thank you for it being the scotch of your people. I actually enjoy it. They're so mad that it doesn't say that because, of course, he didn't do that. But they really, really wanted him to find that, and they can't. And they can't. So here we go. Top federal intelligence agencies failed to adequately warn law enforcement officials before the January 6th riot that pro-Trump extremists were threatening violence, including plans to storm the Capitol, infiltrate its tunnel system, and bring guns, according to a new report by 2 Senate committees that outlines large-scale failures that contributed to the deadly assault. Now, you will see this in all of the reports, all of the news reports on this, that they were all going to bring guns. I have a question. Yeah, Mr. Journalist, I have a question. Where were the guns? Surely you would have found some. No, there weren't. I mean, there may have been guns somewhere. None were used. They don't even talk about guns being recovered. Digitalis, Bushmills is a Protestant whiskey. No, thank you. No, thank you. An FBI memo on January 5th warning of people traveling to Washington for war at the Capitol never made its way to top law enforcement officials. The Capitol Police failed to widely circulate information its own intelligence unit had collected as early as mid-December about the threat of violence on January 6th. So the Capitol Police had the information. They had their own information. And they didn't act on it. Including a report that said right-wing extremist groups and supporters of President Donald J. Trump had been posting online and in far-right chat groups about gathering at the Capitol, armed with weapons to pressure lawmakers to overturn his election loss. Now you listen here, you some bitch congressman. We're going to need you to overturn them their fucking results. Like, what? What? When you have a system that runs on paper, is highly public, and is broadcast live to the earth, how are you going to enforce the coup? How do you plan? Like, this is the missing element of all of the narrative that they've ever said is by what means? If you don't say Donald Trump won, we'll shoot you in the head right now. Every congressman at that point is like, What are they, sweating, bleeding from the pistol whips, looking up into the camera like Ewan McGregor, something like, no, Biden won, you son of a bitch. You'll never break me. Like, what is going to happen? All they have to do is go, okay, Donald Trump won. Please don't hurt us. And then when Donald Trump doesn't actually win and someone comes to eventually arrest them, because you cannot actually do this without literally just killing all of them. And even then, you're not going to win, because if they killed all of Congress, which used to be a funny joke. Does anybody remember Mars attacks? Right? They ray gun zap Congress and kill all of them. And all of the old people laugh. They're like, they killed Congress. That used to be a funny joke. But let's say they murdered all of Congress. It's about 5 seconds before the National Guard sweep the building and it becomes an abattoir of blood. Like there is no, this is, no longevity to this plan. To have an actual organized coup, you would need to employ the military. You would need to have the military on your side. You would need the cleanup crew, or at least a significant portion of them, to be able to implement that power. You can't just do it with a bunch of yahoos walking around in shaman costumes. It's not going to happen. You can't hold it. It's the fucking Capitol building. It's not a compound in Waco or whatever. They didn't have stores of ammunition. They don't have cannons. Like, what were they? Even assuming that every one of them had a gun and all of the ammo they could carry, you got what? A day? They don't have a supply line. They don't have food coming into the Capitol. They don't have refreshing manpower. You just cordon it off and let them starve to death if you have to. And all the while, you just put Joe Biden in office anyway. Because this would be the hardest thing to fucking do on the planet. It would be... It's such an unfathomably ambitious plan to overthrow the U.S. government from without during a public broadcast while the guard are in the area. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You would have to have so much infrastructure in place to carry out this plan. I'm not saying it can't happen. There's all sorts of nightmare scenarios with a compromised military, some charismatic leader doing it. Yeah, whatever. But you'd have to have a significant portion of the military because they're the ones who would be cleaning up the mess. You have to have the cleanup crew on your squad. So here we go. But yeah, the whole idea is that they're literally going to hold Congress at gunpoint and threaten them to say Trump won. And then what? What, they'll leave? Like, fucking did it. And walk away. And they're like, they said Trump won. Oh, because that's going to hold. Yes, you're right. What you do is you take guns, you point them at Congress, you demand Congress say Trump won. You get electric fence on the electric chair. You demand that he certify the results at gunpoint. And then when you walk away, because everything's fine now, because now Trump's in office and he says, oh, everything's fine. And you all just walk away. That stays? That becomes the reality? Like, we don't have a system by which this would function. you would have to have the military. You would have to have the military enforcing the coup. That's what you would have to do. That's the only way you could plausibly do it, is with a comparable military force, probably the military itself, enforcing the coup. Other than that, you got no chance. Even if they kill every member of Congress, they just go, okay, well, this is a little bit outside the circumstances. We're not gonna have that. Anyway, if they don't show up, we enter the Capitol as the Third Continental Congress and certify the Trump electors, one post said. One post said. This isn't a thing either. You don't get to just be the Third Continental Congress. They needed buy-in from the states to be the Continental Congress. You can't just make it up because someone said it on Facebook. And the only people who seem to think you could actually do this are the New York Times. Bring guns. It's now or never, said another. The first congressional report on the Capitol riot is the most comprehensive and detailed account to date of the dozens of intelligence failures, miscommunications, and security lapses that led to what the bipartisan team of senators that assembled it concluded was an unprecedented attack on American democracy and the most significant assault on the Capitol in more than 200 years. The failure to adequately assess the threat of violence on that day contributed significantly to the breach of the Capitol, said Senator Gary Peters. I bet he likes to touch Gary Peters, Democrat of Michigan and the chairman of the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee. The attack was quite frankly planned in plain sight. The 127-page joint report, product of more than 3 months of hearings and interviews and reviews of thousands of pages of documents, presents a damning portrait of the preparations and response at multiple levels. Law enforcement officials did not take seriously threats of violence. It found and a dysfunctional police force at the Capitol lacked the capacity to respond effectively when those threats materialized. But they didn't actually materialize. Those threats didn't materialize. The failures are obvious, said The failures are obvious, said Senator Amy Klobuchar, Democrat of Minnesota, and the chairwoman of the Rules and Administration Committee. To me, it was all summed up by one of the officers who was heard on the radio that day asking a tragically simple question. Does anybody have a plan? Sadly, no one did. Ugh. In response to the report, the Capitol Police said in a statement that its leaders agreed that the force needed improvement, including changing the way it collects and shares intelligence. But it insisted that law enforcement officials had no way of knowing that a pro-Trump rally would turn into a mass assault. You know why? Do you know? Let's read between the lines here. Do you know why they had no way of knowing that a rally would turn into a mass assault? Wasn't a mass assault. It was a mass of people entering a building. But it wasn't a mass assault because people weren't planning a mass assault. This is how crowds operate. Crowds that turn hostile or whatever. You've got a group of people, a bunch of people. You've got lots of emotion. You've got some harmony of thought going on. And a lot of people who just follow. The average person follows. The average person does not lead. The average person follows. That's why leaders are rare. This is fine. This is not a condemnation of followers, by the way. Most of the time, I'm content to follow whatever's going on, right? Like you're at an IKEA or whatever, and you're going to follow the fucking path and walk through the IKEA because for some reason, people like communist furniture stores. Fuck IKEA. I hate it. But, when I'm at an IKEA, that's just what you have to do. You just have to walk around and go through. So you just follow along. It's easier for people. They don't have to make decisions, and it's fine. Most of the time, you don't really need to be a leader. Like, the overwhelming majority of your life is not spent leading. for most people. That's good. That's good. You go and you do the things you need to do. You get them done. And then you go back to sort of the low rent activity of living your life and resorting to some escape, some comfort, and some quiet. The fruits of your labors are enjoyed, right? So you get this mass of people, the overwhelming majority of which are followers. You do not need a plan in advance for a mass of people to turn into a massive problem, because all you need is an instigator or two or three, depending on the size of the crowd. You get a couple instigators, but it's a small percentage of the crowd that you need to be loud, to be assertive, and to motivate people to move in a particular way. Not in a violent, angry way, just in a direction. And if the direction is, hey guys, we're going in. The gates are down. We're walking inside. We're going inside. We're going to show them from the inside. This is our building. Then a bunch of people show up and they're like, yeah, I guess this is our building. Let's get in there. Let's get in there. And then you go in and a bunch of people follow. And that's how you have it. You don't need an assault. You know why you don't need to plan the assault? Because they weren't bringing guns. They weren't going to kill Congress. They weren't going to blow up the Capitol and instate the Trump regime for life and label him as king dictator. It was not going to happen. It was not the plan of any person there. Literally didn't have a plan. So when you say that the Capitol Police did not, when they say they had no way of knowing that it would turn into a mass assault, that's because it didn't turn into a mass assault because it wasn't a planned mass assault. And they didn't have intelligence that would actually back up the idea that they had a credible threat of a mass assault. A mass assault with the same response that occurred would have been a bloodbath, and every House and Senate member would probably be dead, and so would all the staffers. An assault of the Capitol building, planned in advance, with the same level of resistance that was met, would have been a bloodbath. There weren't enough Capitol Police in the building to fight off a mass assault. You would have to send a crew in to clean up after. If there were any amount of guns at this thing, we saw when Ashley Babbitt was shot. There's 5, 6 Capitol Police officers around in total, inside, guarding the House floor. Would have been a bloodbath. This is propaganda. This is why the Republicans opposed the January 6th commission, because it wasn't set up in any way to solve the problems that they're professing to solve. It was just a campaign talking point. Here we go. In response to the report, the Capitol Police... Oh, wait, I read that. Before January 6th, the Capitol Police leadership knew Congress and the Capitol grounds were to be the focus of a large demonstration attracting various groups, including some encouraging violence, the statement said. But it added neither the USCP, Capitol Police, CP, nor the FBI, U.S. Secret Service, Metro Police, or our other law enforcement partners knew thousands of rioters were planning to attack the U.S. Capitol. The known intelligence simply didn't support that conclusion. The reason is because they didn't have a plan to actually attack the Capitol. Again, it's Occam's razor. It's just Occam's razor. And I can't believe that we have people allegedly in charge of any of this who don't just say they weren't planning on attacking the building. That's it. Yet the Senate investigation found that the department had ample warning weeks earlier that violent extremists, including members of the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, were planning such action and failed to share it widely or incorporate the warnings into its operational plan for January 6th. Yes, the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, they showed up with all of the guns and murdered everybody. That's the story I remember. Radically moderate live stream says, I accidentally started leading a BLM mob around the side of a police station. When I realized I was leading the mob of riotous people around a police station, I got the fuck out of there. Was trying to document it. Mobs are sheep, really. They are. They are. They don't know what they're doing. They're just there. Most protesters are just there. They start moving when the next person moves. The Senate's investigative report is a product. Oh, wait. Several comments promote confronting members of Congress and carrying firearms during the protests. A Capitol Police intelligence analyst wrote in a threat report on December 21st, which included a map of the Capitol complex that had been posted on the pro-Trump blog, TheDonald.win. Among the posts cited in the threat report, bring guns, it's now or never, and we can't give them a choice. Overwhelming armed numbers is our only chance, which of course didn't happen because most people are not going to show up at the Capitol overwhelmingly armed. They don't want to die. Like, as much as people like Donald Trump, they were not ready to die for the cause of not getting Trump into office anyway. But remember, the New York Times, the Democrats, the mainstream media, all of that, they legitimately think every Trump supporter is a crazy martyr for Trump, that they're willing to die as if he is Allah, granting them 72 80-year-old virgins. That's what they believe about Donald Trump supporters. All of them, without fail. The Senate's investigative report is the product of a collaboration among Mr. Peters, Ms. Klobuchar, and the top Republicans on the two committees they lead, Senator Rob Portman of Ohio on the Homeland Security Committee and Roy Blunt of Missouri on the Rules Committee. It is limited by its bipartisan nature, given that Republicans have refused to ask questions about the riot that could turn up unflattering information about Mr. Trump or members of their party, or as they try to put its political implications behind them before the 2022 midterm elections. And this is, of course, the opposite statement being true. The Democrats want to make lying implications through the 2022 midterm elections. They think that's their only path to victory. The Democrats are terrified of next year. They are terrified of next year because they see it coming. They see it coming. There is a fisting approaching, and their sphincters are not ready for it. They are terrified of it. Though the report states flatly that Mr. Trump continued to assert that the election was stolen from him and promoted the Stop the Steal gathering in Washington before the riot, it does not chart his actions or motivations, state that his election claims were false, or explore the implications of a president and elected leaders in his party stoking outrage amongst millions of supporters. Shockingly, he gets to do that because of the First Amendment. The inquiry does not describe the events of January 6th as an insurrection, a term many Republicans had joined Democrats in embracing immediately after the attack. That's because they're stupid cucks and political monsters, and that's what they thought was the most politically expedient thing. Now they realize just how much that word is not playing well with their base. As more and more information comes out, the Republican base says it wasn't an insurrection. A lot of the Republican base still says we're not really comfortable with what happened, but it wasn't an insurrection. Because they have a brain. Aides involved in drafting said they had refrained from trying to summarize or contextualize Mr. Trump's false claims just before the riot took place. They opted instead to include the full text of his speech in an appendix. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to keep reading this. This keeps going. It's New York Times, so it just keeps fucking going. But anyway, my point in this is they're mad that the committee does not label Donald Trump, and they blame it on the partisan nature of the Republicans on the committee. They don't blame it on the obvious problem that they have. No one, including during an impeachment, no one has been able. An impeachment that I still say is unconstitutional, by the way, because the Chief Justice did not preside. No one has been able to produce a shred of evidence that Donald Trump had anything to do with January 6th. Not one. Not one person has been able to do it. Surely it's because of the Republicans, but no one has been able to actually do it. And that's the uncomfortable reality that the Democrats face in regards to Donald Trump. They don't know what to do about it. So I wanted to bring that up. I wanted to also point out that apparently everybody was going to bring guns and totally take over the government, y'all. Because that's the narrative. That's the narrative. But all right, now that that's all good, let's go ahead and do some super chats, justice chats, and then super chats. And then we'll go over to Twitch. Mario Carter says, just in time for Pride Month, Trump answered the age-old questions. They're not gay pants if they make you look gay. They're gay pants if the guys can't stop staring. Yes. Yes. Thought-provoking. Says, U.S. ISPs aren't mentally handicapped. They're price gouging greedy assholes. If they give you high upload, then they can't justify their ridiculously high business internet prices. Our business internets don't even have high upload. I'll pay it. I'll pay it. It's my job. I'll pay it. Wolfgang Dayo says, unless you stream every day, Nick, again, lol, it doesn't take having the same exact experience as you in order to fix things. Yes, chat is not a good way to troubleshoot because it is the democratic method where everyone is equal. Be more precise. No, it really does matter, because if you don't have familiarity with the streaming platforms, with the information I'm given, me telling you the information, which I've done, doesn't amount to better support from the chat because you're unfamiliar with the metrics that I'm having to use on my end. All you have is the user side. The user side receiving the stream. You don't have the streaming software. You don't have the YouTube backroom chat. You don't see what's going on there. It's not actually a simple thing that you can just decide that you know how to troubleshoot if you don't have access to the data. And if I tell you the data, you won't understand it because you don't see it. It's not an insult to the chat that you don't stream every day. It's an insult to me that I do. Incident only OBS. Perfect question. No. That's the thing. No. There is more happening than just OBS. So there's a disconnect between what you guys see going on and what's happening here. And that's fine. But that's why trying to troubleshoot streaming issues isn't really a profitable thing. It's incredibly frustrating. It doesn't work. And you get a million good suggestions for normal tech issues. But when someone's already done those suggestions, there's no point in seeing them 50 more times. And there's probably something specific going on. But anyway. Let's see. And then Kermit the Frog says, on your knees, bucko. Someone should have broke you a long time ago. I have nary met a buck I can't break with this here long and mighty dingus. They all break by the man Jesus and his snowy white pappy. Now say hallelujah, boy, you'll break too. Okay. So there's, I'm assuming that's in reference to the article about buck breaking, where they have apparently determined that the white slave owners who engaged in buck breaking, where they would rape a male slave, were not gay. Universally straight is the determination. You know, science has concluded that they were not gay, which is definitely why they would rape men. That's the... Look, it's just heterosex with a man, of course. Oh my God. never happened. I don't think it never happened. I mean, I would imagine it happened. It's not a hard thing to imagine that somewhere some slave got raped by some white guy. Like, that is not a shocking proposition in any way in the context of slavery. But the idea that, like, that them forcing this idea that, but it wasn't gay though. I mean, I don't know about that. Whew, Malik Foxon says, yeah, I'm guessing your ISP and I probably work for the, and I'm guessing at your ISP and I probably work for them. Ain't shit you can do about packet loss with replacing the modem or getting a field tech, or without replacing the modem, getting a field tech or maintenance tech to check the line. Sorry, fam. Break this news to businesses all the time. Also, that sounds like our construction team ignoring monetary opportunity where we should jump on it. Also, now I'm bracing to get a call from you sometime during the day and trying not to be like, oh, neat, I watch your show. Hey, Nick. Yeah. Malik, if you work for Spectrum and can get fiber to my house, I will pay. I will pay in droves. The box isn't even far. I'll pay. Please. Put fiber in my house. IKW says, hey, Nick, finally caught one live. Been meaning to say for a while. Nice camera. Good to see there's finally an alpha in the room. Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you. And then Malik says, Nick, you ruined my justice chat. So now I got a bunch of 1 out of 2s there where I was going to tell you to bug Enterprise Construction to get fiber, but you already freaking did it. Lame. Now those justice chats get to stay unfinished. So there, take my shekels. Thank you. Thank you. I'll have to call him again. They didn't want to do it before. Mario Carter 13 says, a cuck was inside a vagina once. It ended when she started screaming, get it out of me. And I should have gotten the epidural. Aw. Malik Foxon says, wait, only 100 mitigated losses of life on a global scale? Isn't that number kind of small? Again, global. Yeah, tiny. They're really hyping that FBI sting. Rectalingus, I don't use anything. Well, no, I think the modem I use from Spectrum. That's right. They required me to take their router, and I said, your router is trash. And they said, no, this is the best router on the market. And I said, no internet company has ever given out the best router on the market to anybody ever. So it's actually sitting in my laundry room, just unplugged, because they wouldn't take it back. Their gigabyte service requires them to leave a router at your house. It's pathetic. I have is it Orbi? Someone earlier asked what router I used. By the way, I think if you don't use Charter or Spectrum's, modem, they fuck it up. Because I bought my own modem before, and it worked for like 6 months, and then something changed, and I had to replace it. Baronstone, do you have line of sight to such a location? No. Miles away, buddy. Miles away. Okay, so no, my router is an Orbi, the Orbi Professional Mesh Wireless System. It's a good system. It works really well. You've been using your own modem with Spectrum for 6 years? Dude, mine just kept having troubles. Shockingly. Constantly. Okay. Pegmaster says, the criminals are retarded. They should have used open source E to EE, so end end-to-end encryption, like Element, which uses the Matrix protocol, which is decentralized instead of closed-source software. Also, they should have used phones purchased with cash with Graphene OS. Yeah, encryption should always be open source. Closed-source encryption is less secure. There is no proprietary encryption that is better than open-source encryption. It just doesn't matter. Malik Foxon says, imagine being disturbed by your own country's flag being flown within the country that you live in and take full advantage of the benefits of living in. What does she think this is? India or Australia? The lady needs to wake the fuck up. Wait, marginalize. Says this lady sounds like she watched her buck get broken. That's from Chuck Sneed. That one guy says having peaceful process might end up having not been such a good idea. By the way, time will tell. People a century or two from now might see having peacefully handed this country over to people who want class warfare and death camps as a pretty colossal blunder. Look, we've peacefully handed this country over to people who want class warfare and death camps about 100 times. We've seen that up, well, technically not 100 since there's only been 46 presidents, I guess. But totally not a Fed says, hey, buddy, wouldn't it be crazy if we brought our guns and tried to overthrow the government? Yes, totally not a Fed. Wolfgang Dayo says, no, I have not given one bit of troubleshooting here, and I won't. And it wouldn't matter because you can't kill the stream. The disconnect is that not everyone really cares, but if you're going to speak, then others will too. Prioritize reliability. Wolfgang, the reliability is prioritized. There's nothing non-prioritized about reliability. There's just nothing you can do about it when you click go live and the data, for reasons outside of your house, does not get to the destination at a reliable rate. Arrow Shogun says the right are a bunch of pussies too scared of being called Nazis. They'll call you that no matter what. Retards. Though Trump didn't plan this, he could have easily declared martial law and then started military tribunals for the Dems and exposed their game. That would have been civil war, man. That would have been civil war. People don't want that. Super Iron Bob says, anyone touting FOSS as a solution is a dummy and falls prey to propaganda. Analysis by skilled investigators is necessary in all cases, open or closed. So there you go. Not So Handsome Jack says, day 2 of trying to get Nick to play Doom Eternal on Ultra Nightmare. Also, no balls is a way of calling someone out, like calling them a pussy. No balls. No, balls squad 100%. Ball squad 100%. Elden Ring says, have you tried turning your router off and on again? Yes. Tall Skinny Geek says, how much would I have to super chat for you to get a commercial fiber link for upload? Apparently more than exists. Apparently more than exists because they just won't do it. Believe me, I spare no expense on the network connection. Mario Carter 13 says, maybe viewer numbers drop because watching ads. Might be. That might be it. Amaranthus says, have you tried Alt plus F4? I'm going to Alt plus F4 myself pretty soon. Matthew, joke. That's a joke. I'm not Epstein. Matthew Ritchie says, I work in IT for a large hospital company. Everyone shut up. Latency issues, packet loss issues are very common nowadays. Nothing to be done. Super Iron Bob says, quoting SPQ Arias, says you should read only super chats on tech issues only if they send $50. Wolfgang Dayo says, you can't stop packet loss. Says the lawyer, not the person who grew up in the IT world. Your diagnosis is incorrect, and I am waiting for Vic News. Okay, sure. You're right. You're right. I've no experience with IT ever. I've just learned what the internet was yesterday, in fact. Sleazy says, anyone else a network engineer listening to him cringing, wanting to hang yourself in the closet? Try it. Try hanging yourself in the closet, I guess. I don't know if that'll work for you. Atomic Bukaki says, hello, fellow Bukakist. And then Vacuous Simago says, thought grade high-speed internet is a human right. Wolfgang Dayo says, get a BGAN. You make enough for it. There are also ways to amplify cell signal, though, albeit this might not be a very good way to get signal. Vic News. You're not getting cell phone signals to my house that are reliable for streaming. I live out in the country. The cell towers here are garbage. Everybody Poop says, Angry Nick pre-slurring is rare. This is sweet. Spectrum Ball says, it isn't a privilege to call him a cuck. It's our most sacred duty, lol. Habita Hubita says, Nick, if people don't trust in Christ, do they go to fire? It's a very, very long and complicated question. For the sake of easiness, sure. Yes. Yes. Asia Frazier says, if Lucas succeeds... Oh, wait, we read that one. Eric K says, came late about this Marine colonel. I should be sympathetic. Prior enlisted Marine, the only officers I expected were warrant officers. For some reason, even prior enlisted who commissioned would be douches. Tom Bombathrill says, Nick, have you seen the terms Mussolini wants to... Newsom wants to reopen California under... No, I haven't. I just saw that he decided not to. Says, every time I think I've seen the worst this state has to offer, they surprise me. Heinrich Berndowski says, next time Drex is on, tell him about buck breaking. Mario Carter 13 says, Dems don't hate the USA, just everything it stands for. CJ says, I think we should fine everyone $5 who calls America a democracy. I bet the national debt would go away in 6 to 9 months. Call it the fund democracy fine. There you go. There you go. Not So Handsome Jack says, what do you feel about patriotism and nationalism? Because seeing this broad reminds me how half are more or less patriots on both sides, but the left hates America. Patriotism, I think, is something that should exist as long as you're happy to be in your country. But that you got to realize, like, your country gave you the opportunity to be where you are. So all of these little privileged kids are like, or like Michelle Obama, right? The first time in her life she was proud of her country was when they elected Barack. Like, you had a throwaway job for $300,000 a year at a hospital that you didn't even have to go to. Only in America are you getting this stuff. Like, you're not getting that anywhere else, especially you. You look like a man. Character Holding says, high-speed internet in the middle of a forest, 100 miles from civilization is a right. Good luck. Free speech and the right to bear arms, though. But nationalism, I think nationalism has its time and place. I am, generally speaking, not a nationalist. But I think that there are plenty of times where a focus at home is much more important than a global focus. And so... my general principles run on what do I want to be the ideal as a model, and then practically where are we in that context. Right now, I think nationalism is more in line with what America needs. I think we need to focus on the people at home. I think we need to focus on American schools, on American kids, on American families, because we're seeing those be destroyed systematically. I think we need to focus on American businesses, American taxpayers. That seems to be where everything needs to go. And then when we fix our shit at home, we can start reaching out towards some global policies and working on global trade, sure. But at the end of the day, the government serves the American people, and the government itself should be inherently nationalist. So, the Devil's Advocate says, Nick, I have a serious request. Tell fellow viewer Mofo Q to get stuffed. Well, Mofo Q, I guess you got to get stuffed, buddy. Isaac Castillo says, Lightfoot, the sometimes Beetlejuice cosplayer. Mario Carter 13 says, what did Joe Biden know and when did he forget it? Not Applicable says, what about that Ghetto Boys song also? Which one? Ladies First? Is that the Ghetto Boys song we're talking about? Ladies First, who the fuck made up that shit? 9 times out of 10 it was a bitch. Is that the one? Amateur Ant says, seems like everyone forgets the left's insurrection when they went in the Capitol and Supreme Court a few years ago. Yep. Asia Frazier says, hoes mad, very incredibly mad. These hoes are more mad than they've ever been. Look, I've known a lot of hoes. Lots of hoes. I've known them. I've seen them walking around, hoes everywhere doing hoe things, but I've never seen them this mad. Terribly mad. Character Holding says, toupee confirmed. Persona non grata says, hello, Nick. Here's to peace and love to you, your family, and your internet. Enjoy. Thanks. Nick's Hex says, dream stream, you and Drexel and good logic. CJ says, did you wash your data in warm soapy water? I did. The Gray One says, evening, Nick. How you been? Sorry, I near missed the show. Tried to stream for the first time for a fighting game. It was fun. Intimidating, but fun. Good. I'm glad you had fun. Elden Ringling says, oh, Elden Ring. And then finally, we've got, wait, here we go. Here we go. This will be good. Malik says, the reason for that is because we don't have a gig gateway modem router combo. Also, to the person that says they've been using their own modem for Spectrum, you're Resi, not business. Resi can use their own modem, but for some reason, it fucks business accounts up. Well, I'm on residential too, to be fair. Risey says, wait, what? Some guy broke a woman's butt. Damn, she needs to get advice from more gay guys on how to use the back entrance. I was going to just chat that I wanted to go to war to send the millennials and left as meat shields, Darwin them out of Gen Alpha, Gen X forever. Malik Fox says, also, Nick, I wish I could get you fiber, fam. I'm working on moving up in the company, currently shooting for a super position and aiming higher besides, but it's going to take a while. Hope you're still streaming by then. Me too. Wolfgang Dayo says, herder, it's outside of my house. Then focus on that. You had internal issues yesterday and external issues today. No fucking shit, bro, lol. But y'all keep saying these stupid phrases instead of just saying there's a problem and moving on. People want to know why there's a problem. Okay. Let's thought experiment your thing. The stream is frame skipping and lagging every 12 seconds. And I go, there's a problem, and move on. What happens? You're right. No one in the chat will talk about it. That's right. I'll just, no one in the chat will talk about it. then he has, I live in the middle of nowhere. Stop this excuse. Yes, it's an excuse. You've got to be trolling now. You've got to be trolling, or you're legitimately an idiot. One of those two, I don't know. I'm leaning on trolling because I've seen you around, and I've seen, you've emailed me and stuff. I don't think you're legitimately an idiot, but either cut the loss on the problem or start building reliable secondary connections to your house. You have more funds than I have. You concede something. It is an excuse. At least you have money. It's always funny when other people tell you how much money you have and how much you spend. There isn't a reliable secondary connection in this area. It doesn't exist. Except maybe Starlink, which just kind of came out. Maybe. and I have no idea if it's reliable at all. But cell phones are not an option. A cell phone connection is not an option at my house. And I don't know, maybe it's because I live here that I would know how the cell phone signal works in this area. But okay. Just move, pack it all up and move. Exactly. You got the money, just buy more houses. Rise One says, come on guys, let's use Nick as examples and start a GoFundMe to get Elon Musk to build a 10 gig cell tower in Nick's neighborhood. And again, the comedy is that saying neighborhood. But let's see. Remember Field of Dreams logic. If you build it, he will come. So let's build that donation hype and Musk will come. Then all of us too. Arrow Shogun says, I thought about what you said. And because the people don't want it, that means they don't want to be saved, nor do they deserve it because nobody values freedom. Countries that have existential threats like Serbia would not tolerate this. Fuck the U.S. So there you go with that one. Yeah, I don't think most people want to die on the let's keep Donald Trump as president option. I think that's where people really come down on that. Maybe I'm wrong. Elden Ring says, Nick, Elden Ring greater than StarCraft. I know you agree. Yes. Wick Dipper says, use all the thermal paste. Cal Clay says, is this guy on the left because he can be a dumb troll? No, I think he's just trolling. Paul Godin says, Nick, all your computer problems can be solved with a 5-pound sledge and a good swing or two. This is true. I just have to swing at me. And then it's all better. Elden Ringling says, oi, Nikki, take all your monies and build yourself a new vault, but with a ceiling this time. It is paramount that the new vault have a ceiling. CJ says, come on, you make good money. Go buy an ISP backbone. I would love to. I'm happy to spend more on the internet if there was anything in the area that had greater than 5 meg uploads. I remember my old house I had, which is not very far from this one, didn't have the gigabyte Spectrum service. And at that house, all you had, even Spectrum, was limited to 5 meg upload. It was great. That's just how it is. Cal Clay says, Space Station 13 live stream when? How much for you to play? I don't know. That game looks kind of fun. Ozymandias says, I just farted. And then I think that's it. Hey, would you blow me? I have the best network in 10 miles. And I don't have clear line of sight anyway. But I have the best network connection within 10 miles. There's just not. I don't live in a city. I don't live within 10 miles of a city. Amateur Ant says, Nick, you should go on Tim Tool's stream. He can tell you how to get great internet without living in your state and keep talking about Occupy Wall Street. But do you have the best network within 10 parsecs? I do. And that lightning storm was a bitch. I don't know if there was a lightning storm here though. Are you sure about that though? I do check. Elden Ringling says, Chad Elden Ringling with Tata Sky Broadband versus Virgin Nick with Spectrum Broadband BTFOs. And Wolfgang Dayo says, are you able to upgrade from residential to business? No, I mentioned this earlier. They don't do business to residences in this area at this time. Because I already asked. When they turned me down for fiber, I said, what about a business connection? I would love a business connection because at my office in town, about 15 to 20 miles, no, 15 miles away, they would do business connection. Well, it was in town. I had a business connection. It almost never went down. It was great. It was fine. It was slower than this one, but I didn't really need fast internet there. But I haven't had that office. I still don't for a couple years now. And out here, they do not do business connections to resident. So it's because I'm not near any businesses. Umbrella Corp Security says, Nick, have you tried unplugging router for 10 seconds? And yes. Clearly, by the way, I just want to point out that empirically, considering the stream completely stabilized and all of the problems stopped in the middle of the stream, it was an external issue that I did not fix. Like, it just fixed because it was not from this room. Like, it's almost like I can tell when there's a problem with my equipment or process or machine. As I did, I fixed the bitrate issue I had right away. But the rest of it, where it was still lagging out and all that stuff, and I was bitching and complaining, and then it stopped doing that like 2.5 hours ago, and then it was just smooth. That's because the problem was outside the house. So, there you go. All right. Move to Minneapolis. No. Fuck that. All right, guys. That's it. Ooey says, peace. That's the show. Come over to Twitch if you want, and I will boomer through a much smoother running hired gun experience. And we'll see how that goes. Mario Carter 13 says, stop complaining about your salt packets. I will not. I will never stop complaining. And we'll see you guys over there. Have a good night, guys. Peace.
Oh, he drinks a fair bit, but you realize that it just helps get his noggin jogging along. With his glass by his side and his kids asleep tight, we'll hear some lost-plaining tonight. With his microphone muted, we'll laugh at this boomer until he explains it's all part of the plan. Watch his face become redder as he becomes meta, raging at idiots from Twitterland. From the white shores of Maine to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, his lady is fair, and she handles herself with the grace of one who has borne many children. As the wife of a lawman, she makes sure that he has the time and the place to provide for them there. So pour out an Ardbeg, a bow, more of Lafroig. The spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear lost-plaining tonight. From the white shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we are now. Oh, the guests are all planet folks from Doug T to Drexel. They bring their perspective and spice to the mix. But the reason we're here and the one that we cheer is the one who is showcasing us his career. soon get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea, post on Twitter as we hear Lost Planning tonight. From the wide shores of Nan to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the thought better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed.